First of all, let me begin by saying a very good evening to all of you and thank you so much for showing up. And before I begin, I know that a lot of you might not know what an NPC means or might think this topic is very abstract or something that might not be applicable, but let me finish first. So why do I want to be an NPC and not the main character in life? If life were to be a video game, I'm saying I would not choose to be the sword fighting hero, the main character that everyone loves and adores and falls over and fawns over. I wouldn't want to be the person who faces endless battles, trials, tribulations, betrayals. I would rather be the NPC, the non-playable character, the one who waves at travelers, quietly says, "Nice weather today," and maybe hands you a free soup when you walk into their inn. And I know that does sound ridiculous, doesn't it? Who want to be in the background and not the star of the show? Because right now, all of you are listening to me being the star of the show right now. But I googled it. Before I chose this topic, I obviously wanted to know what it exactly means and what I have to speak about. So I googled what it means to be an NPC and what it means to a main character. And every single article said the same thing. How to not end up as an NPC, how to not end up mediocre, how to not be forgotten, how to just live your life in the limelight all the time. An article straight out said, why should you not be an NPC and why should you assert dominance in your workplace? And that made me wonder. This is exactly why we need to talk about this issue. So where did this obsession with being the main character even come from? I believe part of it comes from human storytelling. As a IB student, I'm assuming all of us know our history. And for thousands of years, our myths, novels, anything you read about has a hero, a main character. The one who slays the dragons, outwits villains, discovers truth. Joseph Campbell called it the hero's journey, a monomyth that shapes everything from Star Wars, Disney, to any other show you could even think about. As you can see, I've put up a bunch of Disney movies. Every single title is on one person alone. Mulan, Pocahontas, Frozen, Raya, every single title discusses only about one person's life and everyone else is almost inconsequential in the background. This narrative structure teaches us that meaning comes from overcoming external validation and nothing about your intrinsic value at all. It teaches us that what matters is what people think of you and not what you think of yourself. And apart from that, part of it is culture. The world right now is extremely individualistic in nature. Individualism is valorized. Be unique, stand out, make your mark, do anything but be forgettable. And all the 12th graders here, I'm assuming as all of you are writing for your college applications, especially the ones who are applying for US, your main point is how do I stand out in this world of normalcy? How do I make my title the most abstract? Maybe I hate the letter S, I hate rotten eggs, or I hate anything. You just want to stand out. And what does this mean? It makes the pressure so much more to just stand out to an extent where you forget who you are and what your originality means. The pressure today is amplified by social media. Platforms operate on what behavioral economics call an attentional economy, which means now the new currency in the world isn't money or time or anything. It is the attention you give to the social media itself. 96% of online attention goes to the top 20% of its users. And why does this matter? It means that most of us, no matter how hard you try, no matter how many reels you do, how many posts you do, you'll never reach that 20% in the top. You'll never be able to attain, but then still the world will label you a failure. The world will say, oh, why can you not achieve? Even though 80% of the people are in the bottom 4. What does this teach us? It teaches us that the system is built to be against us, no matter if you're in the 20% or the 80%. Memes shape this language at the end of it. Around 2015, NPC became an insult online. It became a derogatory term to call people boring, predictable, or sheeple. Then came the main character syndrome, something I'm sure all of us have mentioned or heard about in our lives. What does this mean? It means you're mocking people who have become too arrogant in life. Me, myself, I've heard so many people say, why does she think the world revolves around herself? Why does he think it? Like, you need to get over it. You're not the main character of the show. So what does this teach us? It tells us that no matter what you do, it is wrong. It tells us that both main character and NPC became cultural judgments. Too boring or too arrogant. You literally cannot win in this society. And I'll ask you guys a question. When you post a story, do you do it for yourself or for the people you hope are watching it? For the people you hope are listening to it and you hope are making an opinion of who you are as a person solely based on that story. So we've inherited this belief. No matter, we must be the protagonist because that's all that matters. And yet maybe what I'm trying to tell you guys is that belief itself is fractured. Gen Z especially feels it. We have grown up with Instagram feeds curated like movie storyboard. Everything has to be aesthetic. Dom dance happened recently and I went back to Dom and every single person could think about, oh, what song do I post the story on? What do I do to make myself stand out the most? How do I appear to be nonchalant or how do I appear to be the best? And that's what it's come down to, hasn't it? Not what you think of yourself, but what you think the society thinks of you. Psychology shows the cost of this. 43 to 54% of adolescents feel pressure to gain extreme social media attention. And according to this heavy use has been associated with a lot of psychological issues, such as anxiety, diminished self-esteem, and impaired sleep. According to a Deloitte survey, 46% of Gen Z reports feeling stressed out or anxious most of the time. And what does this show? You can see from the chart that 46% of the people in this room are probably anxious, are probably stressed out, are going through a lot of stuff in life. But we don't show that. We show a picture perfect life on screen. And a Cigna report shows 91% of the students experience a burnout. Cognitive load theory explains the same. Now obviously, cognitive load theory might sound like a lot, but to put it in better words, have you ever had an old laptop with every single tab open and then it just crashes out? That is what we are going through in life right now. With every single thing going on, you just have this feeling of burning out, have this feeling that you're not good enough, something that our first speaker mentioned. So maybe the problem isn't that people are living like NPCs. Maybe the problem is that we're forcing everyone to be a main character in a story nobody even asked for. Self-determination theory suggests that autonomy, competence, relatedness are the foundations of motivation that comes from within. And what I'm trying to say is this is what matters. And why do I want to speak about this? I know this because I have tried it. Most of you might think, okay, this is a topic that's very abstract. But at the end of the day, growing up, I was always the smart one. I was always the one who was good at studying, good at grades, got the grades easily. Didn't have to put a lot of effort in. It just comes to you. You're just lucky like that. Once people gave me that role, all I had to think was, how do I live up to it? I felt like I had to keep performing it. Every single test I gave, at the end of the day, came down to a plot line on a graph. I have to go up and up and up and up without knowing how much it affects me. Every success had to top the last one. I became the protagonist of academics. But somewhere along the way, I lost my joy in it. I lost what gave me the joy to learn. Knowledge became a burden and education became a stress for me, never the happiness it gave me before. Being the main character of my own story in this case wasn't empowering at all, unlike popular belief. It was exhausting. Hedonic adaptation, which means basically seeking pleasure repeatedly, and social comparison, which means every single person you talk to, oh, what were your grades? Oh, I got higher than you. Does that mean I'm smarter than you? Does that mean you're dropping out? Or anything like this is what really brought me down. Nothing made my achievements feel good anymore. Nothing I did was good enough for me anymore. What I craved wasn't more spotlight at this point. It was freedom to just be, just get my grades, do whatever I want, and no one is going to ask me a single question. I wanted to savor and experience the life and the flow of it without being evaluated for every single thing I did. And here is the irony. When I look back, the people who shaped me weren't any kind of main characters. They were all just NPCs. The teacher who encouraged me quietly when I was struggling, the friend who sat with me in silence, the neighbor who waved at me every time I came back from school and said, how was your day? These are the people that I really remember. These are the people that made life for me beautiful at the end of it. They weren't dramatic, they didn't get any kind of applause, but they created safety, kindness, stability, and psychology calls it secure attachment environments. Micro pleasures at the end of the day are what matters. And what are micro pleasures, you might ask? It's small things. I'm sure that all of us have had bad days in our lives or a bad day, and it's become a popular term to say, oh, I need to go touch some grass. What does this really mean at the end of the day? You want to do something micro pleasure that gives you a macro pleasure. That's not a big deal. You just want to do something that's normal for you, that's normal for the entire society, just so you can do it with no other evaluation. Mindfulness research shows that focusing on the present moment enhances emotional regulation and reduces rumination. Rumination is basically when you keep repeatedly thinking of negative thoughts about, oh, I got this on my predicted grades. Oh, I can't get into my dream university now. Oh, that's all that's in your head now. Nothing you do is ever going to take that away. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is let's leave this thought behind. Let's leave it behind that we have to achieve everything we've dreamt about or anything that the main character of the show suggests. Let's do something that genuinely gives us intrinsic happiness and motivation. Stoicism says freedom comes from focusing on what's in your control. Focus on something you can adapt, change right now, not on something in the future, not something that has happened in the past, but something that's coming and something that's in your hand. In other words, living like an NPC, predictable, boring, stable, is actually the wiser path of life because it leads to a better mental capacity. In a gaming language, if I had to explain it, I'm sure a lot of you might have played Minecraft, it's essentially like turning on the peaceful mode, which means no mobs, no chaos, just calm, and you can do what you want. You can do the building or whatever you want. So maybe what I'm trying to say is we need to flip this narrative. We need to flip the narrative that NPC energy is something you need to fear, something you need to avoid. Maybe the question isn't who is the main character, but what game am I even playing? What game am I playing that I'm in so much stress about my own future and self? Instead of fearing this energy, I say we should embrace it. The main character suffers for the story, the NPC savors the story. The main character is trapped in a destiny they can't escape, the NPC writes their own story. Self-determination theory that I just mentioned before shows us that intrinsic motivation that comes from within because you are happy about what you do is what really matters. And in a society where every single one of us is competing to be extraordinary, I think the most radical act is to be ordinary. Cognitive psychology even suggests that low-stakes routines actually foster neural consolidation. Again, a lot of fancy words, meaning that predictable, repetitive experiences help the brain process information in a quieter and in a much better way than you would in a high-stakes environment. So at the end of the day, I want to say, why do I want to be an NPC? I say, I don't need to be iconic, I want to be me. I don't want to perform, I just want to be kind and to be present to all those around me and to myself at most. I don't need a plotline or a graph that shows what I am or how my evaluation is going. All I want is peace. And maybe, let's think about it. When we go out of this room, let's not try to push ourselves and push those around us to be the best of themselves, but just to be happy with what they are. The world doesn't need more main characters. Maybe it just needs more nice people who wave at strangers and go, hey, I hope you guys have a good day. So next time you feel pressure to perform your life like it's a movie, I want you to think about it. Try being the NPC instead. Smile at someone, notice the sunlight, go touch some grass if you want. Live gently, engage in the micro pleasures, prioritize your own happiness over what the world thinks of you. Because sometimes the background character is the one who makes the story worth telling. Thank you.